I think what creative writing offers to the guys inside here at San Quentin is, first of all, just an opportunity to gather and be together, doing something creative together. Having that group where you're like, your common denominator is writing. And so that pulls in all kinds of different people. You get to hear all kinds of different perspectives. I am a big believer that listening is the highest form of love, or one of the highest forms of love. So just to sit in that circle is kind of a sacred space, in my opinion, where we sit in the circle and we give our full attention to someone else. That's an act of deep respect, and that's what keeps me coming back to it. I just really love that space.
My name is Tammy, Appling-Cabading. So writing, it takes what is in your mind, and now you're able to take what is invisible and then put it out on paper. So that way you can be able to, like I say, see your thoughts. And it gives you a way of being able to see what it is that's actually, what you're thinking, and what are these patterns of thought. And then you're able to look at your own individual walk. And it also affirms your personhood as a human being, that we all have experiences, and that when we can put them in writing and we can see them, it's not something that's just floating in our mind, but it's something that now, as you see the written word, it helps me to know that I'm in this human walk just like you are. Someone had once said, what's come from the heart touches the heart. So that is something that is in the written word. Is powerful because now it's written out of your mind.
Welcome, guests. This has been called the 14th annual public read from the creative writing class in San Quentin. Zoe Mullery is our sponsor.
Okay, we're here. We're finally here, and we're starting, and this is the moment we've been waiting for. This has been a lot of work to get to this moment, but we're ready. So I'm Zoe. So I realize often I forget to introduce myself, but I'm Zoe Mullery. So I've been teaching creative writing here at San Quentin since 1999. So that's 24 years this year, more than a third of my life. And this world of San Quentin has been very formative for me. I always feel I'm in a circle of interesting, tender, very alive human beings when we gather every week to talk about stories. And the hard work, patience, curiosity, creativity, humor, and joy that I find in the classroom keeps me coming back and keeps challenging and expanding my worldview as I listen. And I'm a big believer in the value of listening. I appreciate that this class gives all of us really good practice in that disappearing art. This year, we've done something a little bit different in terms of storytelling. So a couple members of the class suggested that we have a group prompt this year, where we have an outline of a story, and whoever wanted to could write to that prompt. So that prompt is in the booklet. I'm just gonna read that real quick. About half the class has done that, and the other half has just written memoir and fiction as we usually do. So the prompt this year: a 767 passenger plane with some notorious incarcerated people aboard are on their way to Guantanamo Bay, Cuba, to spend the rest of their sentences. A sudden volcanic eruption from an uncharted island causes the plane to crash on the island. Some possible avenues to explore. What happens to the power dynamic between correctional officers and incarcerated people in a crash situation? What does the public think about the crash? What of the survivors? Will humanity overshadow the need to control or the desire for revenge? What happens to the ideas of power, control, and confinement in a survival situation? So for the first half, before the intermission, you're going to hear from the people who have written to that prompt. So without further ado, I'm going to turn this over to our MC, Juan Moreno-Haynes.
Okay, so yeah, let's start this thing. Mesro, let's go.
1, 2, 1, 2. Hello, everyone. Welcome. Thank you for being here. And our thoughts and prayers are with those who can't be here today but wanted to be. This prompt actually had its origins in the B building and education. Me and Raheem were kind of sitting back thinking about the different prompts that Zoe gives us every day, kind of get our creative juices going. And we were like, well, what if we did that for the public reading? And then the story that I'm reading here is called Captain Shire. The cockpit is already lit up when I get there. The pilot turns to me with a slight smile, freezing me in my tracks. Captain Shire, I gasp. He nods in that quiet way he does and offers a hand. I set my gear down and shake that hand. His grip is firm and calloused. Captain Shire nods again, reclaims his hand, then returns to pre-flight procedures. I sit next to him and help prepare for takeoff. When he grunts, I ask, what do you make of our, passengers? What about them? Captain Shire demands in his gruff baritone. There are prisoners on board, I hiss. Dangerous criminals! So what? Captain Shire replies, frowning as we see 16 correctional officers usher 13 prisoners aboard. Each prisoner is shackled hand and foot, each armed officer armed to the teeth and very watchful of their charges. So what? I balk. I didn't sign on to fly prisoners anywhere, let alone, I consult the flight plan. To Guantanamo Bay? I lean close to Captain Shire. Are these prisoners? I swallow a lump. Terrorists? Who are you whispering for? What are you saying? Captain Shire asks roughly. It's just, I pause, floundering. I need to get a grip. Captain Shire would not appreciate me spazzing out in front of him, but I'm like a kid again. I sigh and say, what I'm saying is, what if they try to hijack the plane or something? Captain Shire turns away from the controls to glare at me with those granite eyes. I can tell he's already had it with my foolishness. Lay off the movies, kid, he huffs. Who cares who they are, what they did? They're passengers. That means they gotta get where they gotta go, and we're gonna get them there. It's as simple as that. Glad we cleared that up, I grumble. What's the difference? Captain Shire snarls impatiently. They're human beings just like you. Now do your job. With that, we taxi up the runway, and in no time, we're airborne. Flight progresses nicely until we fly just past the Straits of Florida. At the far west edge of Bahamian airspace, a volcano erupts on a tiny island that doesn't appear on any map I've ever seen. An incredible geyser of planetary innards flow sky high, right in our flight path. Spurts of lava, gouts of ash, and floods of stone choke our engines and pelt our fuselage. Rumbling debris jounces our now roaring cockpit vigorously, globs of molten rock assaulting our lines of sight as we lose engines, wings, and fins. I float in my seat as we go down, down, down. Alarms wail, and I wail with them. Until I look at Captain Shire. Silently poised, he's gripping it and ripping it, trying to get us clear of that growing black cloud. His grim face says it all. I'm gonna land this plane. I dig deep and force myself to stop screaming, stop panicking, like Dad and Captain Shire taught me. No mean feat, that. I snatch up the radio and shout, Mayday, Mayday! This is flight 1375 en route to Guantanamo Bay. We have contact with a volcanic eruption about 50 miles north of Cuba, 80 degrees west, 23 degrees north. I punched the intercom button and announced, we will be experiencing some pretty bad turbulence. Everyone strap on your seatbelt. I dropped the radio receiver and helped slow us down. I keep having this nagging thought about whether or not some terrorist is gonna bust up in here and take the plane by force. I punched the intercom again and warned, prepare for a crash landing. A glance at Captain Shire, gaping at the windshield, draws my attention to it, just in time to see jungle trees rushing through glass made to withstand just about anything. Impact makes nuclear explosions sounds like one of those little champagne bottles people pop for New Year's Eve. And now, a man whose beard's majesty exceeds his words, Silverbeard, Paul Stauffer.
Good morning, everyone. I see a sea of faces. Some I recognize, some I do not. Symbolism. Your Cantu had just been daydreaming of the days when there used to be all those wild pigs on the island. But that had been more than a full moon ago. Since then, none of the tribe had seen a single pig, and the tribe was now near to starvation. Your Cantu had been fishing all day, and hadn't even seen a fish longer than his palm. Of these small fish, he had only caught 5. Disappointed, he was paddling back towards the village when he saw a light in the jungle. He thought to himself, there shouldn't be any fires on this side of the island. The village is on the other side. Besides, I see no smoke from a fire. Cantu then paddled to where he had seen the light. After beaching his canoe, he turned back and saw something that made his head stop working. There before him stood a tall, slim being, clothed in sunlight. Cantu was not a shaman. He didn't talk to spirits or have visions. Well, at least not till now. Then the spirit spoke to him in his mind. Cantu, do not be afraid. Great Salamandu is about to throw his temper into the air. This will make a large silver bird fall from the sky. Go find the bird. There you will find many strangely dressed men. Some will already be dead. Those you may eat, but the rest you must capture and sacrifice to the great Salamandu. When he had finished speaking, the figure just faded away like a heat mirage. Cantu didn't like this, none of it. He had always half disbelieved the stories about spirits and visions, but now he was just terrified. But Cantu thought, who am I to argue with the spirits? Once back at the village, Cantu hurried to the hut of the elders. There he found the shaman, Asuliman, and the chief elder, Manabotu. He told them both of all he had seen and heard. Manabotu then told the entire village. Soon the entire village was in an uproar. Suddenly, up above them in the sky, it all happened. The volcano erupted with an enormous explosion. The sky shimmered everywhere, revealing a great silver bird on fire and falling from the sky. Cantu began jumping up and down, yelling, "See, I told you, it is just the spirit being told me." Manabotu began giving orders, and soon everyone was running around getting ready to find the silver bird. Within minutes, their hair bedecked in feathers and bones, and their faces painted in red, white, and black face paint, the tribe's warriors embarked in their canoes to locate the fallen bird. Hidden by the cloaking devices, not 10 feet from the shaman's hut, 2 small green reptilian figures were observing the tribe. The shorter, fatter of the 2 reptilians looked at the other and spoke. "Wizards, how did you know that it was going to be so easy to eliminate all the crash survivors?" "Why, Zillet, what do you mean, easy? I had to erupt the volcano, uncloak the island, and talk to that dumb villager. Say, why don't you do the easy part next time so that I can sit around drinking daiquiris with tiny umbrellas?" Zillet then said, "I did not mean to imply that your efforts have been of no value. All I meant was you should remember all that I have done over the planet's last lunar cycle so as to be prepared for such a momentous event." "Oh, you mean like giving them a recipe book explaining how to prepare and serve man flesh?" Wishers queried. Zillet then explained, "It sounded like a good idea at the time until I realized that they had no use of our written language. Perhaps next time you will listen to me when I try to offer you my insight," Wishers said. "Well, Wishers, you have to admit that it was at least a good idea to teleport that jetliner away from our sea base off the coast of St. Mary Island and over here above the volcano. Thanks to me, our undersea base in the Caribbean is now still undetected. Zillet, if you hadn't left the base's overhead tower hatch open, the airline wouldn't even have noticed our base and we wouldn't be having this conversation. Hey, where did you put that book on how to serve man?"